Hey everybody, Bro here. Today I'm working on my 1969 Lotus Elan. We're going to be doing ignition stuff. So the biggest issue I have with this car right now is not really anything with the car, but some parts for this thing are so stupidly expensive in places that it's like, I'm not going to say not worth it, but not easily feasible, I should say. And it's just dumb stuff like maintenance items. Right now I was looking around spark plug wires for this car. For some reason people want almost $180 for a plug wire set. It's 4 plug wires. I'm sure there's cheaper ones out there. I didn't look too hard. I saw that and I was kind of like, ugh. It's 4 plug wires and a coil wire. This stuff isn't like some massively rare technology. It's mostly Lucas stuff with, you know, Girling and whatever other parts. It's not Lotus specialty other than like body stuff, things like that. So what I'm gonna do is show you how to make plug wires that aren't ridiculously priced. So I'm guessing the cap also is used on MG stuff because I've seen it before, I just can't place it. So I did get a new cap and a bunch of other things, so let me show you how I'm doing this. Alright, first thing first, obviously you need a new cap. Mine is pretty corroded up. Mine is an original Lucas cap on the car. But got a new cap anyway. Pretty inexpensive. I had a new condenser and points set. I need to get a new rotor. They didn't have it available at the time, so I need to order that online. So how am I going to get around super expensive spark plug wires, you ask? Well, generic kit. So this is just 7mm diameter for old style distributor V8 set. So there's 8 plus 1 ignition coil wire, so 9 total. Copper core. I didn't want anything fancier than copper core. It'll do just fine, and you'll see why that's going to be important in a second. So it's a specialty distributor cap. And what's so specialty about it is every wire that comes out of this is held in by some screws with a sharpened pin on them. So that's how you actually make the contact between plug wire and that, so you don't have like little push-on pieces, which is going to make our life easy. So open this up. You get a full wire set, instructions, coil wire, you get boots and connectors and little holders for the wires. So pretty much not going to use any of this except from some of them holders. So get these out. I did label my cap just so it's easy reference to see which cylinder it is. It's a good idea to do it. Firing orders on this is pretty easy. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the center is your coil wire. So that goes to your ignition coil. Cylinder 1, cylinder 2, cylinder 3, cylinder 4. So lay out our wires. Pull them out of the rubber band. And the good thing is, if you get one of these sets, which is only $35, you'll be able to throw some on the shelf and keep them for next time. So I'm just going to pick out 4 wires. Some of them are super long, some of them are shorter. They kind of give you a few general lengths. These are coil. Set that aside. I'll pick out which ones I want to use. Alright, so I picked out the plug wires I'm going to use. Doesn't really matter. You're going to trim them anyway. Here's my cap. That goes down on here, clearly, on the rotor. Then here comes the fun part. Once you do this, you gotta decide where you want your plug wires to route. So when I got the car, they all looped around the back, came up through here, and they had 90-degree boots on them. Looked good, looked clean. Wasn't bad looking, but I've been looking at these motors online when they're all done up. And you got the nice carbs and everything's kind of clean. It actually looks pretty good when they're just kind of coming up and over like this right to the distributor cap. And that's kind of the shortest run without making it very difficult to service them. So I'm just going to do that. And that's why I got the ones with the straight boots. I didn't want the 90-degree boots for this. So I did put a little dielectric grease on the ends of them to make them easier pulling them on and off while I do this. So. And then actually something I should have done before, but I saw somebody took them, they wrapped some wraps of electrical tape around the plug wires, just so you can quickly identify cylinder 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm gonna get my marker, and I'm actually gonna mark on them, just write 1, 2, 3, 4. Be a little easier than tape. It's just so I know what's what, and it'll come right off too. So it shouldn't be too bad. So, got them marked. That's pretty much route them how you want. Do a little something like that, and I'm going to get a holder. And then eventually I'll incorporate something like a throttle bracket to hold all those plug wires steady. There you go, something like that. This next bit is going to be the more difficult portion. Get the length right, approximately, something like that. Pull the cap back off, and I've unscrewed all them almost all the way. That way I can actually slip the wires in. So now the next step is to cut the wires. Luckily this is so little going on here that it's pretty easy, simple to do it. So I'm gonna cut them approximately here. Straighten them out, and then I'll trim them as I go. Because 2 of them are going to be longer than the others, just because you got to get to that point instead of that point. Get my wire cutters. And I'm suffering for you guys. It's freezing cold in here, and I turn the heater off every time I want to talk and do something, because I don't feel like putting lame background music in my videos, because that's always a pain with copyrights and everything, and nobody wants to listen to a heater and me try to yell over the heater. So snip it there, snip it there, there, and there. Discard those. And now it's the fun part. So I'm just gonna slip that in as far as it'll go. Then cylinder 3 goes in here. I'm not going to screw them down quite yet. I just want to make sure my length is relatively close. There's that. That looks pretty good. I'll probably need to trim them a little bit. Get these in here. Cylinder 4 and 2 go up on the top there. Do that. It's a little fiddly, but chop just a little bit more off this one. Make sure it goes in all the way. That's the biggest thing. I pull. Probably pull a little bit more off, but let's see. Didn't do this one yet. Here. I'm just holding them in. Let's see how it looks down here. Don't look too bad. That looks pretty good from the outside, at least. I might trim a little bit more off this one so it's not so bunched up down here, because that'll cause it to rub on the intake manifold. Pull a little bit off of cylinder 1. You can spend as much time or as little time on this part as you want. Alright. I think that'll do right there. Worst case scenario, I can always trim some off later. Now I'm just going to take it on the bench. Make sure my wire routing's right, and then I'll tighten them down and pierce those wires. Alright, so every one of these wire ends isn't exactly square, so I'm going to come through and square it off with a razor blade. There we go, that should do. Now it's a matter of making sure they're in as far as they can go, and then crank the screw down on the inside. There's cylinder 1. Crank the screw down, and it'll pierce the wire. And that's in there. And this is cylinder 2. Up in there. It's the most difficult part because these, for cylinder 2 and 3, it's kind of, or cylinder 2 and 4, I mean, it's kind of in there. And then one more. Boom. So that's basically that. Not any more complicated than that, so looks pretty decently presentable. Gotta have to do the coil wire yet, which is this one, which I'm pretty sure I could just use a straight shot like this. The only difference is the factory coil wire has this screw fitting into it, into the ignition coil. I'm not sure that's reusable, but I'm going to convert to a modern ignition coil anyway, which uses that style. So I can just, boom, push it on. So I just got to make sure I have another coil around here. I'm pretty sure I do. I'll check. Worst case scenario, I'll pick up a decent ignition coil. Something that'll work with the points, not burn anything out. And so yeah, that's basically it. That's super easy. I'll put it on the car and show you what it looks like on the car again. Alright, so it's still going to be difficult to see, but there's the wire that's looking pretty trashy right now. Move my arm so you can see it. I have to at least replace that. Got the rotor off. Got the condenser loose. That's probably the positive side, because the other side of this grounds the main body of the distributor. So I'll have to pull the distributor out and replace that wire, resolder it on here, make sure all this is clean and not shorted out, and then replace this end. Just replace this with a short section of wire, replace the points while I'm at it, clean up the contacts on the distributor body side, and then maybe pull it apart and check all the mechanical advances and everything. Make sure there's no like major bushing wear or anything. But that's going to be a job for another day. Got the rotor off, so I know what rotor to get. Funky little thing. Did clean it up, so I could probably use it for now, but we'll see. Alright, so that's all I feel like messing with this car for today. At least I got that done, so hopefully that helps somebody out there to avoid spending a tremendous amount of money on spark plug wires. So right now I have to go through a lot of the electrical system. A lot of things don't work. We put a battery in it. A lot of it doesn't work. So I got to go through all that. I got to go through my carburetors yet, waiting for rebuild kits, waiting to clean some of them up and do all that good stuff. I need to get my air compressor running, which is everything's a process around here. I need to get a new pressure switch for the air compressor to get the air compressor going, to get my soda blaster going, to soda blast the carbs. So, yeah. If my Beetle sells, I'll probably just buy the Mikuni swap for this. It's probably the way I'm going to go. Seems like it's going to be the easiest and least expensive, I should say. Battling between rebuilding the mechanical fuel pump or putting electric fuel pump in the trunk with the filter back there instead of up here. And then I'm going to need to run new fuel line. I'm going to need to run, you know, whatever I decide for that. If I do decide to run an electric fuel pump, however I feel like powering it, I just have to figure that out. That's the main reason I haven't just did it yet, is because I had to run more wires and do a little more of that. It's not as simple as the mechanical pump, but the mechanical pump's also kind of a bear if it's bad, because it's buried in there. So the parts list is growing steadily, and we're inching closer to getting this thing started, so just got to do everything one step at a time, and that's kind of just how these old cars go. So I'm going to try to upload more frequently. I'm going to try to knock little bits and pieces out at this thing. Videos might not be milestones, but they'll at least be something. And at this point, I think I'm close to 700 subscribers, which is fantastic that 700 people decided, yeah, I'd watch this doofus again. So thank you guys much. And let's get those numbers growing and get some interesting things done. So thanks for watching, everybody. I'll catch you later.